There was one mistake I often see people make when it comes to building wealth, including myself at the beginning. Let me tell you what I mean. So I was talking to this guy recently. He was in his 30s and he realized that he did not want to have to work until old age. That is something I hear often, usually not when someone's in their 20s, because there people are still motivated to work in their jobs and climb the corporate ladder. But then later on in their 30s, somewhere between 1 and 10 years of working experience, the thought comes up, what if I didn't have to work that much forever? Anyway, back to the guy. So he did not want to have to work until old age. And that was probably also the time where he started to feel like he's behind financially. And he said to me that he hadn't built a lot of wealth yet. And then, here's what's interesting. He started to tell me about all of these side hustle ideas he had, like sublending some space. I don't remember all the other ones. And I think the reason for him to think about all those side hustles is because this guy thought he needed to create extra income in order to start building wealth and then to make up financially what he had already lost in years. But actually, here it comes. I asked him some questions. He had a job, a full-time job that paid commission-based. Now, there is not a lot of jobs that have this opportunity. And when you are good at what you do, this can earn you a lot of more extra money additionally to your, full-time salary. That was one thing, commission-based job. The second thing was he wasn't paying any rent. He wasn't paying any rent because he was very smart about his living situation. But the problem was he hadn't invested any money yet. He had only some money in some fixed deposit, like a certificate of deposit of some sort. And I was thinking, this was a casual conversation. So I did not give this guy a personal coaching session, but I was thinking, dude, you already have everything that you need to build wealth like crazy. The fact alone that he wasn't paying rent would have allowed him to invest thousands every month and still live at least a decent, luxurious life. Now, I never asked him what he was earning, but I'm pretty sure it was at least 80,000 a year. I would even suspect that it was well above 100,000 a year. But the thing is, he did not have the proper system in place. Because what he already has is a high income, even if he maybe wouldn't have used those words. But what he didn't do is to turn his income into wealth and let his money work for him. And instead, he wasted all that energy on thinking about side hustles that would bring him in maybe a few hundred, if at all, per month. Now, don't get me wrong. No one would say no to an extra 100 or 200 per month. It's nice, right? But in his particular case, any extra income on a small scale like this wouldn't have made a difference. To be honest, not even on a bigger scale, because this guy did not know what to do with his money. Are you guys getting this? This guy did not recognize that it was actually his income that was his wealth building superpower. So unless this guy learns how to invest money and put his money to work, then the prospects of him not having to work till old age are pretty slim, if not to say non-existent. But if he would, he could make it to financial independence pretty fast-ish. Okay, now if you find yourself somewhere in that story, I'm telling you, all you need is the right system of building wealth automatically. Now, if this guy had asked me to coach him, I would use my 6-step process to build the system of building wealth automatically. And I would have started with step number 1, which is create your fuel to wealth vision. Because if you really want to build life-changing wealth, you need a strong reason. And to stay with the example of this guy we talked in the beginning, he already had that. He did not want to have to work till old age. So he wanted more freedom, more flexibility, and enjoy his time. And those are strong reasons, strong enough reasons. And then step number 2 would be assess the status quo. And all that means is to figure out exactly where we stand today. So what's our starting point to our vision. So the guy would have needed to track his actual income and also his expenses. And then he would also have to calculate his net worth. So he would have to know all of his numbers in order to move forward. And then in step number 3, we would have set goals and create a money game plan. Because the vision we talked about in the beginning, this is just the foundation. But additionally to that, we need goals that are our single steps towards our vision. And the guy did not have specific goals, at least not that I know of. Or I would even go so far as to say he had the wrong ones. Because building a side hustle for an extra $100 per month, that is not what would have brought him to his vision. What would be a more suitable goal to reach financial independence, in his case, maybe even before retirement age, would be to hit $100,000 in net worth first, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he didn't have yet. And then once we have the vision, the starting point, and the goals, next, in step 4, we will build the infrastructure. In other words, we need the right accounts, the right account system. Now, from our example from before, as far as we know, this guy only had a fixed income investment, probably in the form of a certain type of bank account, a bank account that then pays him some interest. But it didn't sound like he had an investment account yet. So in step number 4, we would build up that infrastructure. And then in step number 5, we would define rules. Because when you think about it, we build the infrastructure, but without actually producing traffic on that infrastructure, it doesn't do us any good to just have the accounts but not using them. And so we would set certain rules in order to fill the infrastructure up. One example could be a specific savings rate, like I save and invest 10% of my income every month. This would be a rule. Not the rule that I would recommend, to be honest, but still a working rule. And then step number 6 would be accelerate your wealth by investing it. So the sad story of this young man in the beginning was that he basically had all that money, but he was burning it, spending it on things where I guess he doesn't even remember what for. And then he thought he's doing great by sorting his living situation, sorting it in a way where he basically saves 100% of his rent. But then if he doesn't put that money to work, it almost doesn't matter, right? So in the 6th step, we want to learn how to make our money work for us, so that at some point it even works harder than we do and we do not have to go to work anymore. Because instead of us going to work, it's our wealth that pays our salary. Isn't that great? And so to get to that point, we have to become an investor. These 6 steps, by the way, is also the structure of my course. It's called the Automated Wealth System. Only that instead of the 6 minutes we just had to walk it through, we would cover them in 6 weeks. Now, if you don't want to make the same mistakes like this guy and you want to fast track your own wealth building journey, then you'll find a link down in the video description if you want to learn more. Otherwise, in case you're wondering why $100,000 is such an important milestone on our wealth building journey, then I'll link a video for you here. If you're still here, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something and I'll see you the next time. Bye.